hope I'm in the show now. Not in the show, I mean, I'm on the video. Today I be live stream on StreamYard. You know, the first time I've been using, I'm going to be using this app, especially for the live Dhamma talk uh, for the global Buddhist Congregation 2020 in India. Thank you. And first of all, I want to wish everyone a happy Buddha Purnima Day or happy Vesak Day. I know the exact Vesak Day is coming tomorrow, but we are in the eve of Vesak Day. So happy Vesak Day to everyone. Okay, so I know a lot of people like you who are connecting from, primarily from global Buddhist congregation in India and far and wide, get to listen to a lot of Dhamma talks today. And I thought that I would, give a Dhamma talk on a topic like this: transforming pain, within brackets, that's dukkha, into peace, joy, and liberation, the Four Noble Truths. So basically, I'll be talking today for you the Four Noble Truths with the subtopic in mind, transformation of pain into peace, joy, and liberation. We know the Vesak Day is the day that we reflect upon the Buddhist teachings, specifically with three events: the birth of Prince Siddhartha, and the awakening of ascetic Gautama, and the passing away of the Buddha Shakyamuni. So the most important thing that we understand for today, for the Vesak Day, is Buddha's awakening. If we had not been able to awaken, we would have not, gain access to the Dhamma. So that's why I thought to talk about the Four Noble Truths, but in a different, easy way for you to understand. You know that transformation is a big concept in the philosophical religious traditions. I'm not talking about other religions, but I talk about the Buddhist teachings. Buddhist teachings is completely a transformation. So you transform. What is transforming within you? Your pain, your dissatisfaction, your unsatisfactoriness. So that pain or unsatisfactoriness or dissatisfaction can be transformed into satisfactoriness, peace, joy, liberation, and all the good positive, into all the good positive things. How can we do that? Only by understanding the Four Noble Truths. So that's the big message that I'm going to giving to you with my talk. So I'll be using a sutta for this from the Pali teachings. Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length sayings. There is one sutta comes in Majjhima Nikaya called Mahachattarisaka Sutta. Mahachattarika Sutta is one of the greatest analysis of the Four Noble Truths. Specifically, we can see, the analysis, synthesis of the Four Noble Truths. It's not just saying that this is the first noble truth, and this is the second noble truth, this is the third noble truth, this is the fourth noble truth. It has much more to, read if you can really look into the sutta. The sutta's name is Mahachattarisaka Sutta. Now, in the Four Noble Truths, let's, go over the Four Noble Truths in general. The first noble truth is the noble truth on dukkha. Now, I understand there's a big problem in translating the Pali word called dukkha. And I don't think dukkha is suffering. Dukkha is something, um, I could say, a pain. Uh, you could say that the pain can take you to suffering, but what if the pain talks about things like uh, frustration, unsatisfactoriness without a suffering? It can happen too. So I would say let's keep the word called dukkha as dukkha. Uh, at most, we could say pain. Okay. So Buddha said the first noble truth is dukkha arisatya. That means uh, the noble truth called dukkha. What is this noble truth called dukkha? Buddha defines the first noble truth in couple ways. He says the birth is dukkha, decay is dukkha, jara, uh, death is dukkha, marana, and soka parideva dukkha domanasa upayasa. They all are dukkhas. Dukkha, soka means grief, parideva is a lamentation, dukkha is physical pain, domanasa is mental pain, upayasa is despair, complete loss of hope, frustration, disappointment. Not even those definitions. He also goes on to say, young pichang na labhati tampi dukkha, not getting what one desires. We wish a lot of things in our life. Most of them are, personal, sometimes not personal. But not always we can see that things that we expect, wish coming true, right? So people can get upset about it. So that's also a dukkha. The last, a definition about the first noble truth is sankittena panchupadana kanda dukkha. Okay, so what is kanda? Kanda means five aggregates. Buddha says we all have five aggregates. Rupa kanda, the aggregate called rupa. We have a rupa, a physical form, and vedana. We have an aggregate. We have an aggregate inside of us called feeling. So we can feel painful, pleasant, or a mixture of those two kind of feelings. And sanya, the aggregate called perceptions. So when we identify, recognize things, we all have perceptions before we process those external objects. Let's say I'm talking to you now on StreamYard, and StreamYard is pretty new for me, and I have perceptions about StreamYard. So, right? So perceptions, that is called sanya. And then sankhara, aggregate called formations. So sankhara means aggregate called formations. Formations includes all the karmic activities because all the intentional activities of your mind, they include in the sankhara kand. And the last one is vijnana kand. That means the aggregate called consciousness. So all the mind activities. Now, basically, the location part of the mind and innate activities of the mind, because the kamma has been separate from vijnana kand. Now, what Buddha meant by sankittena panchupadana kanda is the five aggregates subject to grasping are suffering. Now, five aggregate is not suffering, but when you uh, when you put your aggregates, with when you use your aggregates with grasping, upadana, you take it so tight. When you develop your aggregates into a very tight, very kind of into a level that you can see there's craving, and that creates dukkha. So in short, We know the first noble truth includes birth is a dukkha. I mean, you should not take it, in a very negative way, because Buddha has two truths in all the Four Noble Truths. He talks about Samudhi Satcha and Paramatma Satcha. You were born, uh, so it's a dukkha, but you have, because you have been able to be born, use your life, your human life, to do a lot of good karmas, and especially the kusala karmas, and then attain at least sotapanna stage. One day you can attain nibbana. But still the birth is dukkha, right? Because you get sick, you feel a pain, so it's kind of like that, right? And decay, right? We know that we are getting all time to time. At some point it's good, uh, but on the other hand, you might not feel comfortable with your aging, because when you the first day that you get to see your ripened hair, your wrinkles, and all that stuff, you are not happy. That's why this aging process is good to a certain extent, but from some point onwards it could be not a pleasing thing, so it could be a dukkha. Marana, death, is always a dukkha. And grief, lamentations, physical pain, mental pain, and despair, which you call complete loss of hope, uh, not getting what one decides, they all are dukkhas, right? I don't want to go to you know each one, because you understand by English names. Okay, so that's the first noble truth. The second noble truth, called dukkha samudaya arya satcha, that means uh, the cause of the noble truth called the cause of dukkha. The cause of truth has been given as tanha, craving. Now, what one can develop with the dukkha in the previous truth is craving. So because one is attaching too much, one is grasping towards five aggregates, one is not finding a way out from the birth, decay, and death, sickness. Then what happens? One develops craving. So the craving is the cause of dukkha. So the craving has been explained in three ways. Craving has three parts. Kama tanha, craving for sensual things. I would say sensual world. Bhava tanha, craving for becoming. There are people who might say, you know what, this life I'm not happy, so I want to be reborn again. Because the problem is, when you die, you never know which birth you will be reborn after that. That's why Buddha says, please try to attain Sotapanna, at least Sotapanna. Because if you attain Sotapanna, it's guaranteed you will not go to four hells, right? There are four hells, four woeful, painful states. But if you will not be able to attain Sotapanna, that means you are not guaranteed to be reborn in a good place, even though you might think that you want to be reborn in a good place. That's why Buddha says becoming is a craving. Now, there are people who might say, do good karma and you can be reborn in a heaven, deva place. Who knows? All depends on the last moment, right? That doesn't mean that whatever you've been doing this life won't count. They count. But the immediate birth will be decided upon the last thought that you may have. So that's why I'm saying, uh, while you're doing good karma, kusala and punya, try to uh, try to try to do more into kusala, and attain sotapanna at a certain point. So you are guaranteed you are not becoming. So, but there are people who want to be who want to be uh, into next births, who really want to be. So they have a craving. We call it bhavatanha, the second part of tanha. The third part of tanha is vibhavatanha. There are people in this world who don't want to be reborn, but they have a different distorted perception. That means there is no next life. Let's enjoy, eat, do whatever we want. There are no future lives, so that don't worry about it. That could be a problem, because that takes you to an amoralistic view, right? Because when you are uh, you know amoral, then what could happen to you is that you don't believe in virtues, you don't believe in karma, so you do whatever you want. So that's why Buddha says we have to cut down on three parts of tanha craving: kama tanha, craving for the sensual things, and bhava tanha, craving for the future lives becoming, and vibhava tanha, uh, craving for not becoming, but in the context of doing whatever one wants, like bad stuff. So these three parts of tanha need to be uprooted. Okay, that's the second noble truth. The noble truth called the cause of dukkha. The third noble truth is the noble truth on the cessation of the dukkha. Is there a way to cease? Yes. That way comes in the fourth noble truth. In the third noble truth, it says there is a way, that is nibbana. Let's get into Pali words, how it is described. Asesa viraga nirodho chago patinisaggo mutti anale. Asesa viraga nirodho. So by using the noble eightfold path, you are ceasing completely. You are ceasing completely. You won't start to become. Chago, you have to give it up. That's really interesting. Not many people think, at least in their normal life, to give it up. Give up some things. They really wanna bind to those things, bind to the life, bind to different people, attach too much, right? And patinisaggo, we need to relinquish. Mutti, liberation. That's what we say. Transforming dukkha, pain, into liberation. Thereby you coming to a point where you see joy and peace. Analayo, detaching oneself from dukkha. We need to detach from oneself. So that's called the third noble truth. So the third noble truth is nibbana. Basically, it's nibbana. So the solution is nibbana, attaining nibbana. So in nibbana, there is no continuation of tanha. There is no holding, grasping. There is no non-liberating things. There is no attaching too much. It has the opposite of all these. And then let's go on to the last noble truth. It's called Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipadari Satya, whereby we understand the path that helps us to attain Nibbana. Nibbana is the solution, treatment, uh, and there should be a way that we can attain Nibbana. That is only by following the noble eightfold path. Buddha says it's not just a path; it's a noble path. It's a Arya Magga. Okay, so now I wanted to share with you the Four Noble Truths in little bit of details, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about them first. Now let's go on to the path, which is the most interesting, important part of our conversation. Because although there is dukkha, although there is the cause, although there is the solution, but if you don't take you to to the path, you won't uh, solve the problem. That's why the fourth noble truth is very important, very significant, and we must focus on that a little bit more. Okay, now before I talk about the uh, noble eightfold path, uh, anyone remembers that the gradual discipline in the Buddhist teachings? There's a gradual discipline that Buddha asks us to follow. That is called Sila, Samadhi, Panya. I think a lot of you may have observed precepts at home because you can't go out, right? So taking eight precepts is a customary thing on a poe day, on a full moon day, especially on the Vesak full moon poe day. So Buddha says, in order to follow this path, noble eightfold path, one has to go on a gradual disciplinary route. The first part of that route, disciplinary route, is sila. That means virtue. Pre- Someone can translate precept, but I would say not just the precept, it is your virtue. Because uh, I know you all observe 5 precepts, you all take 8 precepts. Uh, they are good, but at the same time, you should have a good standard of your virtues, right? Virtues, what are the virtues? We'll talk about them. The second gradual disciplinary thing is samadhi. Samadhi is concentration. Okay. The third one is panya. Panya means wisdom. So one has to fulfill these three in order for one to attain nibbana. So by only practicing sila, you won't go anywhere. You have to take it to the second level. That is samadhi. By only practicing sila samadhi, you won't go anywhere unless you try to go on to the next one. But someone may think, okay, this might be autopilot. When I'm in sila, I will go to samadhi. When I'm in samadhi, I will go to panya. No, you have to put effort, right? Sila, samadhi, panya. The reason why important is that the Eightfold Noble Path is is an embodiment, is an inclusion of these three. That's why I wanted to share with you these three first. Now, Buddha says in the Mahachattarisaka Sutta, the sutta that I made as a topic today, that three components of the Eightfold Noble Path include in the Sila part, the Sila disciplinary part, and three components of the Noble Eightfold Path include in the Samadhi, uh, and two components of Noble Eightfold Path include in the Panya. That means when you practice Sila, Samadhi, Prajna, that means you are practicing the Eightfold Noble Path. But who knows what components they have to exactly practice? That's why we need to understand the Noble Eightfold Path in a little bit of detail, so you won't make any mistakes. You won't feel frustrated by thinking that you haven't done enough for each disciplinary parts of this uh, discipline. So sila includes three components from the noble eightfold path. What are they? Samma vacha, samma kammanta, samma ajiva. Okay. Samma vacha means, so what is samma? Some people translate samma to be right, and micha, the opposite, is what do you call? Wrong. But I think samma could be not right uh, in the literal sense. I think it could be wholesome. It's wholesome, wholesome speech. And samma kammanta is the second component under sila, wholesome, uh, wholesome, action. Samma ajiva is wholesome uh, living, the nature of living. So let's take a look at of what is samma vacha, samma kammanta, samma ajiva. And before all that, I want to tell you, someone may think that one has to practice these 8 one by one. No, these are individual factors, components. So you have to practice simultaneously. Okay, because but the first thing that we know in the Eightfold Noble Eightfold Path is Samadhi. We need Samadhi. Let's talk about that first. Samadhi is wholesome view. So that makes a big deal in the path into other 7. Samadhi basically means, you whether you understand the path or not. right? So that's really an inevitable part, right? Because if you don't understand the path, you can't practice the others. But other than Samadhi, the rest of the seven you can practice simultaneously whenever you can. Okay? Samadhi has two parts. That means wholesome view. The first part being the mundane part, the second part being the transcendental or extra mundane path. So, what is the mundane wholesome view? The mundane wholesome view is fourfold. Any knowledge of what is karmically unwholesome, any knowledge of what is uh, uh, karmically the root of unwholesome karma, any knowledge of what is karmically wholesome, and any knowledge of the root of the karmically unwholesome, uh, you know, wholesome activity. Now, for example, I would say the first part of the mundane wholesome view is that you need to understand, let's say lying to someone, you understand this is unwholesome, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to understand the root of unwholesome nature of that particular lying, that is uh, to cheat someone, right? So that means you are trying to uh, understand the root. What are the roots? Loba, dosa, moha, greed, hatred, and delusion. So you may have all those three when you are doing that lying thing, right? So whenever you need to understand the mundane samadhi or wholesome view, you need to understand uh, whether this is an unwholesome activity and the root of that unwholesome activity. So there are two. And the other two relate to the positive side, good side, wholesome side. When you are not lying to someone, when you are speaking the truth, then you know it's a wholesome activity. So you have to understand that. And also, you need to find out the root, the wholesome root of that uh, truth. That means you are not into loba, you are not into dosa, you are not into moha, you are not into greed, you are not into hatred, you are not into ignorance. It's pretty simple. So mundane samadhi means having a knowledge of these four. That means knowing the unwholesome activity, knowing the root of unwholesome activity, knowing the wholesome activity, knowing the root of wholesome activity. It's pretty simple. What is the unwholesome, uh, extra mundane, transcendental samadhi, wholesome view? That is the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. So that's what we've been talking today. But the ways and means how people understand the Four Noble Truth is different. That's why we understand a certain structure in the first Dhamma talk given by the Buddha to the five ascetics in the Dhamma Chakkappavatthana Sutta, which you call Tiparivatta Dwadasakara. Tiparivatta. So one has to understand the Tiparivatta Dwadasakara in understanding the Four Noble Truths. When you look into the Tiparivatta Dwadasakara, you understand there are three main parts for each noble truth: Satyajnana, Krutajnana, Krutyajnana. So Satyajnana means having a literal understanding, like a normal understanding about the truth. Krutyajnana is understanding the role of uh, the truth. That means you need to attain. And Krutyajnana means uh, uh, looking back. That is for an Arya Savaka, for an enlightened being, looking back of what that person has done by attaining Nibbana. So these three parts have to be complete. But you might wonder, where are you in these three parts? In each truth, you might be in the first part. You normally, generally know the truth, but you haven't done the role. You haven't attained the Nibbana, so you can't go to the third one. So that's why I want to share with you that mundane wholesome view is that knowing those four wholesome, unwholesome, roots of wholesome, unwholesome, and when it comes to transcendental or uh, you know uh, extra mundane wholesome view, that means the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths with Tiparivatta Dwadasakara. Okay, let's go on to now Sila, Samadhi, Panya sections of the Noble Eightfold Path. So Sila, we have Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva. Samma Vacha means wholesome speech. What is wholesome speech? A speech uh, that is not lying. A speech where you see uh, you won't use hurtful words. That's called parusavacha. The previous one called musavada. A speech where you do not slander, you don't backbite, right? You talk something in the presence of someone, and you talk behind the back, right? You have one words. You talk very pretty straight. You are not like using two kinds of versions of your speech to someone. So not lying, not using hurtful words, not slandering or backbiting or talking behind the back, and not being an idle chatter or a gossiper. That's called sampappalapa. What is an idle chatter? There are people who just want to spend time by talking, right? The time is so precious. Don't waste that. You know what? We have another 20 minutes, so let's talk something. I don't think that's a good thing unless you are talking wholesome things. Gossiper is pretty bad. That's the extended version of an idle chatter. Gossip, gonna pass rumors and all that. It's pretty bad. So we need to practice a wholesome speech, which is not lying, not using hurtful words, not talking behind the back, and not being an idle chatter or a gossiper. So we are still talking about the Sila section, virtue section. Samavacha is the first one, wholesome speech. Second one, which comes under Sila, is Samma Kammanta. Samma Kammanta is wholesome action. So, are our actions wholesome? So, what is the wholesome action? It is threefold: not killing, not stealing, not misbehaving. So, you have to look back and look into you, within you, seeing whether you are doing executing these bad things, right? If you are not killing, if you are not stealing, if you are not misbehaving, you are really good. You are already in the wholesome action, samma kamma. Samma ajiva is the last component of the sila section. Samma ajiva is wholesome living. Now Buddha clearly mentions what is samma ajiva, wholesome living. He uses couple words. He uses the words called kuhana, lapana, nemitikata, nippesikata, nijiginsanata. So these are Pali words. I will explain to you in English. Kuhana means cheating. When you are making a living, either a trade or a job or your normal life, do not cheat. Cheating is pretty bad. If you are cheating, you are not making samma aji, which is under sila. Lapana is you are uh, you are talking things to mislead people so that people getting misled, right? I know there are people who do that in public. I don't want to go into that, get into that. But your words have to be truthful. Do not mislead other people, even in your family, in your society, in your job, everywhere. Nemitikata is trying to embarrass someone and to get it. There are people who want to uh, give a lot of troubles to other people, and then finally they want to get whatever they want done by those people, which is pretty bad. We shouldn't ever do such kind of things to other people. Nippesikata is blaming other people and getting things done. There are people who want to blame other people, and then the more they blame, they think that the more they can get things done by other people. It's pretty bad. We don't want to blame other people. We will see where is the problem, and let's fix it, right? Nichikin Sanata means you are trying to use whatever you have to gain other things. There are people who want to, uh, you know, uh, give a really big time to other people, especially whom you know he or she was helped in his life. So going to pester again, keep pestering, going to mistreat with the previous help support. So Buddha says, do not use any of these in your life for living, either for your normal life or for your trade life, commercial life, or for your job. It's pretty bad. It's called um, not it's not wholesome living. It's unwholesome living. But the wholesome living is when you don't cheat, when you don't use, when you don't get to mislead other people, when you don't use speech to get things done by other people, when you don't blame other people, when you are not misusing your previous supports you were given by other people. So that if you are into them, you are having samma ajiva, wholesome living. That is sila, samma vacha, samma kammanta, samma ajiva. We go on to the second one, samadhi. So it's a gradual process. Samma vayama, samma sati, samma samadhi. Samma vayama means wholesome effort. So wholesome effort is fourfold. What is it? Buddha says we need to reduce the existing unwholesome activities, right? Let's say we already have some existing bad activities, unskillful activities. We need to put effort to uh, you know remove, overcome those activities. Let's say someone is lying, one knows I'm lying, one knows I'm doing other bad things, that way, for example, then one understands I need to put effort to get rid of this existing bad thing. The second wholesome effort is, you know that you already don't have ABC or XYZ bad things. You are trying to put effort not to get them on you, right? You are not a liar, but why you want to be a liar? You never want to be a liar. So put effort not to become a liar. Okay. The third effort is the good wholesome effort is that you already have good things. Let's say you are very generous. You are not getting angry that fast. You're not angry at all, and you are not jealous. So put effort to develop, uh, you know, cultivate your existing good, skillful activities. And the last wholesome effort is uh, you understand when you with other people, friends, families, co-workers, people in society. Oh, this person that I know has something skillful which I don't have. So why don't I try becoming so? Let's say I'm not generous that much, although I have the things I can offer to other people. So why I don't try to become more generous, because I need to be affected by those people. So to put effort to become a better person with the influence of other people. So that's called samma vayam, the first part of samadhi. The second part is samma sati. That means wholesome mindfulness. Some may wonder, is there a wrong mindful? Is there a, sorry, unwholesome mindfulness? Yes. Think about those people who are uh, trying to practice unwholesome ways to practice mindfulness, to do bad things, to plan bad things. That's pretty bad. Buddha says always our mindfulness should be based on four things. We call them satipatthanas, establishments of four things. Est- uh, Establishing mindfulness based on the body, establishing mindfulness based on the feelings, establishing mindfulness based on thoughts, establishing mindfulness based on mind objects, kayanupasana, vedanupasana, chittanupassana, dhammanupasana. I want to share with you something interesting in the wholesome mindfulness. There are couple words you have to understand. Kaye kaya anupassee viharati atapi sampajano satima vinaya loke abhijja domanasang. So one has to practice these individual satipatthanas with being ardent, with sampajana, full awareness. Bare mindfulness makes nothing. You just try to be mindful. Why you want to be mindful? That comes with sampajana, full awareness or wisdom. You need to know why I want to be mindful. For what purpose? So bare mindfulness doesn't make any sense, which could turn into unwholesome mindfulness at some point, because you should have a purpose. That purpose is to clarify yourself, find clarity, find peace, joy, liberation, especially from wholesome perspectives. And the last definitive part of the mindfulness, components is vinaya satima, vinaya loke abhiccha domanasan, having overcome covetousness and um, you know domanas, the mental pain of the body. So they are the main focus of our all the mindfulness components. So we need to uh, always overcome covetousness, strong attachment, right? If you have a strong attachment, you will never make that happen. So wholesome mindfulness is practicing mindfulness based on the four satipatthanas. Okay. The last part, the component of samadhi, concentration, is samma samadhi. Samma samadhi is wholesome concentration. There are people who want to stay focused, who say, I want to do this and that, so I will stay focused. But this is something more than, far beyond than the normal focusing, normal concentration. That's why it's called wholesome concentration. Buddha says how one can be into wholesome concentration is uh, by being aloof from sense desires and unwholesome thoughts. When can you become aloof from sense desires and unwholesome thoughts? There you will get into this wholesome concentration. Other than that, you will not make that happen. Okay, so that is samadhi. Second section of the Eightfold Noble Path. The last section of the Noble Eightfold Path is panya, wisdom. So we need this wisdom. That's the focus of our path. It includes two components called Samma Ditti and Samma Sankappa. Samma Ditti, I think I already explained to you what is Samma Ditti. Samma Ditti has two parts, basically wholesome view. One part is mundane, one part is extra mundane, not mundane. So what is mundane wholesome view is that having a knowledge, having an understanding of unwholesome activities and the root of unwholesome activities, unwholesome wholesome activity and the root of wholesome activity. So if you know these four all the time when you are doing activities, actions, thoughts, and speeches, then you are good. You have the mundane wholesome view. And when it comes to extra mundane, transcendental wholesome view is knowing the Four Noble Truths without residue, without any remainders. So that's pretty interesting. That can happen when you attain Nibbana. Okay, the last one called Samma Sankappa. Samma Sankappa is also a part of wisdom. Why? So what is Sankappa? Wholesome thought. Do we have wholesome thoughts? What are they? Nekkhamma Sankappa, Avyapada Sankappa, Avihimsa Sankappa. What is Nekkhamma Sankappa? What is Nekkhamma? Now, a lot of people talk about letting go. I have bad memories, my bad past, fights I had, arguments I had with people, right? All those are thoughts that might have lied in deep down, right? Consciousness or wherever. So we always say that we need to let go of those past memories because that is previous you, because that's not present you. Your present you is a brand new person, and you don't need to get bogged down by those previous things. That's why Buddha says the first type of wholesome thoughts is thoughts on renunciation. Renunciation is the extended, bigger version of letting go. Letting go is that you just let it go, right? But renounce means you are renouncing from the sensual pleasures. You are renouncing. Your attention, your focus is not into sensual pleasures that much. You know that you don't get so much attached. You don't get so much angry towards those pleasures. You are equanimous. How do you call? You are into upekka. You are into equanimity, right? That's the mentality we should have. So the first kind of wholesome thought is thoughts on renunciation. Renunciation means uh, the bigger version of letting go. Practice renunciation, not just by action, but also especially from your thoughts first and then in the actions. The second type of wholesome thought is avyapada sankappa. Avyapada is non-killing, non-destroying thoughts. Now, think about uh, in today's world, when you turn on Facebook, YouTube, your whatever browsers, what can you see? Now these days, there are people who might get interested in looking at how many people die, how many people get sick. Where is your compassion towards them? You are just nailing down how many people die, how many people get sick from the situation. Where is your compassion? Where is your metta? What has happened to them? On this Vesak full moon point day, at least we should try. I know there are a lot of good people on who are watching here. At the same time, there might be people who get so much stuck with not managing oneself by looking at what's going on in the world. So that's why never ever have thoughts of destroying other people, right? When you get to that kind of a thought, that means you are really not managing yourself, right? They are bad people. We have to distance from them. If they are in our close relationships, we have to be careful rather than do not try to do any of such bad things, especially killing part. Try to find out better ways, positive ways to solve the problem. And the last kind of wholesome thought is avihimsa. Avihimsa thought. Avihimsa. I know people in India know Mahatma Gandhi, the greatest politician and this greatest individual. And the Gandhian philosophy always talk about this non-violence. So avihimsa means non-violence, thoughts of non-violence. Aren't there people who want to bully other people, who want to criticize other people, who want to blame other people, who want to find fault all the time, who are not looking at the positive side of everything? There are many people. That's why they have to understand our thoughts are not in line with the Buddha's path. The Buddha's path, Buddha says, never ever have thoughts of, especially destroying thoughts and violent thoughts. You need to keep down. You need to get rid of those thoughts. Have the thoughts of renunciation. Have the thoughts of protecting other beings, including you. Have the thoughts of appreciating other beings. Have the thoughts of maintaining the safety of other people. Thereby, you are practicing, uh, you know, the wholesome thought. Okay, so that's everything that I want to talk to you with this talk. And I want to recap a little bit what I've been talking to you today, because I see there are questions that are coming up on the chat screen. We can transform our dukkha. That is guaranteed. Only if you follow the path of the Eightfold Noble Path. Try to really practice, not just to literally see that. Try to practice, try to understand these 8 parts under Sila, virtue, Samadhi, concentration, Panya, wisdom. Really good. And then put the exact precise practice into your path so that you're going to transform all the pains of your body into peace, joy, and liberation. Okay, so let's take some questions now. Guide us on Samyak Sankalpa to be used in day-to-day life. Okay, yeah, that's what I just talked. So Samyak Sankalp, wholesome thought means uh, thoughts of thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of not destroying other people, thoughts of not harassing other people, being violent. Okay, why don't we try to cut down on our unnecessary desires? That's the first thought, Samyak Sankalpa, which you call Nekkhamma. You can get rid of everything, but you can minimize your desires. If you eat too much, you can cut down on eating. If you wish too much, if to buy things from outside, if you like too much other people, if you so much uh, obstructed by other things, why don't you cut down on them? So that's the first part of Samyak Sankalpa, Nekkhamma Sankalpa. When you go into the second one, thoughts of non killing, not killing other people. I'm not saying just killing, it could be destroying. There are people who assassinate others characters on internet. If you share something false on internet of other people, you are assassinating someone's character. There are people who want to who see some post in the wall, they just put the hit button. They never know it is true or not. So you are assassinating someone's character, right? So you have to verify, are they true or not, right? So Avyapada Sankappa not only means you're not killing, but also you are not killing other people's characters. You are not giving bad reputation to other people. You are protecting the safety. You are protecting the truth. When you come to the third one, non-harassing thoughts, we know you need to always practice metta and compassion. Thereby, you will never blame other people. You will never criticize other people in your normal life. You will never find fault that much. If there is a problem, you know how to talk positively, how to solve it really positively without making a big deal. I think that helps the question. Any more questions? I'm just trying to put a message saying any more questions. And then if there are no questions, we can close. We can wrap this up. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. Okay, if there are no more questions, we're gonna share all the good karmas with the departed relatives and the deities who protect all of us. May all the good karmas we all have been accumulating from the beginning of this Dhamma talk be shared by all the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of you, far and wide. May they be happy and peaceful. May they attain the supreme Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idammi nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idammi nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idammi nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. It's also customary for us to share all the good karmas with the deities, Nagas who protect all of us. May the deities and Nagas share in all these good karmas. May they protect and bless the whole world. The whole world is having this uncertainty. all these difficult situation. May the devas and nagas send their blessings to for the people in the universe to get back to normal. May the devas also be happy and peaceful. May they also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha ammehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabbe satta anumodantu sabbasang patti siddhya akasattha chubummattha deva naga mahintika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkang tulu kasasanang chirang rakkang tudesanang chirang rakkang tumang paranti. Finally, let's make a great wish on this Vesak full moon Poi day on 2020. May all the good karmas we've been accumulating, collecting so far by all these ways, listening to Dhamma, discussing Dhamma, uh, be helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm going to be blessing with you a couple more stanzas. Abhivadanaseelis nityang vaddhapachayino chattaru dhamma vaddhanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sangha sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samijjatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for the organizers and thank you for listening. And may you be well and happy. Stay safe. Happy Vesak Day. Happy Buddha Purnima Day too. Thank you.